Welcome to this short guide on assessment for learning, where we focus on using formative assessment to guide student progress and adjust teaching in real time. Over the next slides, we'll explore the ideas, principles, classroom strategies, digital tools, and implementation practices that help teachers collect useful evidence and respond in ways that genuinely improve learning. This presentation is a complete guide to formative assessment, offering a clear roadmap from defining the concept to putting it into practice. You'll gain an overview of the key principles, evidence-based classroom techniques, technology that supports real-time feedback, and practical steps for implementation so you can turn assessment into a continuous, actionable process. To understand formative assessment, think of it as a moment-to-moment approach that helps teachers and students see where learning is heading and make adjustments immediately. Rather than waiting until the end of a unit, formative assessment is woven into instruction to reveal misunderstandings, celebrate progress, and shape the next teaching steps so learning keeps moving forward. Formative assessment is a planned, ongoing set of practices used during learning to gather evidence and act on student needs. It creates a continuous feedback loop where teachers and learners partner to clarify goals, check understanding, and make small adjustments that improve comprehension as lessons proceed, making assessment a tool for learning rather than a final judgment. A helpful way to think about assessment is the difference between assessment for learning and assessment of learning. The former supports and informs teaching continuously, focusing on improvement and reflection, while the latter provides periodic snapshots for accountability. The same instrument can serve both purposes, so what matters most is how results are used to influence next steps. Now we turn to core principles and the framework that underpins effective formative assessment, focusing on evidence-based strategies that reliably improve outcomes. This section sets the foundation for practical techniques by explaining the why behind the methods and how to prioritize actions that support student thinking, feedback cycles, and shared learning goals. 5 key strategies form the backbone of an effective approach. Make learning intentions clear, elicit evidence of understanding, provide feedback that moves learning forward, activate peer interaction, and involve students in assessing their own progress. These ideas work together to align teaching, monitoring, and response, so classroom practice becomes intentionally focused on improving learning. High-quality formative assessment relies on characteristics like being timely and actionable, specific and task-focused, and involving students as active partners. Feedback should prompt thinking and next steps rather than emotional reactions, and it should emphasize growth and strategies over innate ability, giving learners the information and agency they need to improve their work. This section moves into practical classroom techniques designed for daily use, showing how simple routines can create powerful learning signals. The aim is to use quick checks and structured interactions that reveal student thinking, inform immediate instruction, and provide clear opportunities for learners to act on feedback and deepen their understanding during the lesson. Quick check techniques are easy to implement strategies that give real-time insight into learning, from low-stakes quizzes and mini whiteboards to exit tickets and traffic light cards. The value comes from combining these checks with timely feedback and follow-up actions, because without focused responses, they remain just a snapshot rather than a step toward deeper understanding. Peer and self-assessment activate students as resources for themselves and each other, helping them develop critical thinking and metacognitive skills. When students use clear criteria, sentence starters, and protocols, they provide constructive feedback, reflect on progress, and take ownership of learning, which builds independence and makes classroom assessment a collaborative habit. Questioning and discussion are powerful ways to elicit evidence of learning when done carefully. Using techniques like wait time, purposeful cold calling, and probing questions that invite reasoning. Avoid rapid-fire queries, and yes, no traps, and encourage students to generate their own questions to deepen thinking. The quality of questions directly shapes the depth of student understanding. Digital tools can extend formative practice by offering rapid polling, anonymous responses, and richer media for thinking aloud. Technology supports instant feedback, scalable data, and varied modes of expression, but its impact depends on purposeful use. Choose tools that fit learning goals, protect student voice, and speed up the feedback loop rather than replacing teacher judgment. Digital formative assessment tools include interactive quiz platforms, live response systems, video and audio feedback tools, comprehensive classroom platforms, and adaptive practice solutions. Each category supports different needs: engagement, anonymity, evidence collection, or personalized practice, and the best results come from blending tools with clear tasks and teacher-led interpretation of the data. As we look at implementation and impact, the focus shifts to translating techniques into sustained practice. Successful adoption requires more than isolated strategies. It demands ongoing professional learning, leadership support, and attention to how practices are integrated, so that formative assessment truly changes classroom culture and student outcomes. Research shows formative assessment can have meaningful effects on achievement, with influential reviews reporting effect sizes that translate into sizable learning gains when implemented well. Recent studies echo these benefits and highlight larger impacts for students who need extra support, but the evidence also cautions that poor implementation or lack of teacher learning can reduce those gains. Common implementation challenges include differing definitions, time constraints, insufficient professional development, and surface-level use of techniques. Solutions involve developing a shared understanding, investing in sustained coaching and 60+ hours of professional learning, using co-design approaches with teachers, and building leadership capacity to support practice over time. A practical success framework balances core principles with local flexibility. Adhere to tight instructional goals while allowing loose adaptation for context. Sustainable implementation involves phased professional development workshops, practice cycles, and mastery co-design with teachers, and active administrator support, so formative assessment becomes a reliable, school-wide practice. In closing, formative assessment is not just a set of tools, but a shift in how we teach and learn, emphasizing timely, specific feedback and student partnership to guide growth. When thoughtfully implemented with adequate professional learning, the approach yields measurable improvements, especially for students who need it most, and requires commitment, practice, and supportive leadership to deliver lasting impact.